Good morning. We have some Starbucks coffee today because it's an early start for the restart of the final table of the $5,000 six-handed tournament. I'm not playing, but I'm commentating. That's why I'm wearing a suit. And after that, they may be commentating the $10,000 limit hold'em tournament, depending on who is there. And then after that, I'm going to play a $10,000 buy-in six-handed tournament. So lots of big action today. I'm going to run hot and try to stay awake. Here we are in the tournament final table area before anyone shows up, bright and early in the morning. Here's our desk. They set us up with a little microphone. They give us some papers listing everyone. Today we have a fun final table. Sam Sorvell, oh my gosh, this kid's nothing but impressive. Faraz Jaka, oh my god. He's crazy, but at the same time he just always shows up with the nuts. Chris Hunichin, Big Hoonie, absolute master of online poker. Kenny, I don't know how to say his last name, sorry. Hilaire? Final table, the main event, also has been crushing the scoops. And I don't know these two players, but I bet if I look them up, I'll find some good info. That's what I'm going to spend my time doing, reading bio sheets, getting information. And this is what we look at. I have my computer over here. Usually I have to push everything off the side because you see, way over there, there's me. And you want to make it look nice and pretty. And that's what the TV see, that's what the people on Poker Go see. These are our images to view. And that's it. So here's the setup. We're going to be commentating the 6 Max final table starting very soon. Well, I just busted the 10K. As you can see, there's no one left because it is about 1:30 a.m. The day was almost over. I had a few fun hands today. One that cost me a lot of money. Someone raised. I elected to re-raise with ace-queen offsuit from the button. He then misclick minimum 4-bet. It was clearly a mistake. It was obvious it was a mistake. He had about 30,000, so he made it 5,500, and I elected to shove the queen-jack offsuit, which is dicey because if you think about the hands he's going to call my 3-bet with, it should be a lot of hands that dominate me. But I didn't think he would call it off with stuff like ace-jack and king-queen and whatnot. So I shoved, and he was like, oh gosh, I guess I got to call now. And he had ace-queen, so I doubled him up for a lot of chips, somewhat early in the day. And then from there, I hung around, caught a double up when I was short. And then towards the end of the day, Patrick Leonard raised. I called with ace-10 suited on the button. And then a guy who had played relatively tight aggressive, nothing insane, he finally got down to a somewhat short stack. He shoved for 25 big blinds. Patrick instantly folded, and now it's back to me. So I didn't like the spot at all, but the player played very well, and it seemed like a really good squeeze spot because, Patrick was opening a lot, and he had just got down to a shove spot. If I had seen him play a 40 big blind stack longer, or I'm sorry, a 20 big blind stack longer, I maybe would have known whether or not I should have called there. But not knowing anything, it's probably just a call, but it's close. So I made the call, and he had ace-queen, so I lost a big pot. Look at these weird blue lights they have back here. So bizarre. After that, I was down to about 8 big blinds and shoved 9-8 suited, and Patrick Leonard had queen-jack offsuit, and he beat me. So that was the end of the day. It's always tough whenever you play all day and all night, and then you have to wake up for an 11 a.m. start tomorrow. Tomorrow's a shootout tournament, so you have to be on time. So I'm gonna get some sleep, and I'll be back at it in a $1,500 shootout. I managed to make day 2 of the $1,500 buy-in shootout somehow, through some mild miracle. I actually got down very short right off at the start of the day. I had pocket aces lose to king-queen on king-queen 6 or something like that. And then I had king-jack, and I rivered a gut shot straight. And my opponent rivered a backdoor flush. I bet, and he raised small, and I elected to pay. So that put me down really short, but from there I won basically every all-in. It's always nice when that happens. So someone's in a hurry. From 1,500 chips, I ended up having 65,000 at the end of the day. And now there are probably about 100 people left or so. And it's a shootout, so you have to win your table. And I imagine there's probably gonna be 8 or 9 players at each table, maybe 6 or 7. I don't know how exactly they're gonna do it, but It's always fun to have an opportunity. We're on to day 3. We have all these chips. I only had pocket aces. He had pocket 4s on that flop, and he just jammed. And I decided this was good enough, and luckily the dealer helped me out this time finally. And now we have all these chips. 12 people left. Holla. So here I am, back in my room at Palm's place after day 2 of the shootout. And I think it's worth mentioning that in both shootout tables, I got down relatively short right off the bat. I don't exactly remember what happened on day 1, but I do remember. I had aces and they lost, and then I had a straight and I lost to a flush. So that got me really short. And then today, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I lost 2 hands. I forget the first one, but the second one I had King 6. Someone min raised, someone called, someone else called. I called the big blind. It comes King Jack 2. Everyone checks, turns a jack, checks around to the guy on the button who's very loose, very splashy. He bet like half pot. I called. River was another jack. I checked, so I have a King X on King 2 Jack Jack Jack. I checked, and he bet kind of big, and I don't really see how I can fold, especially given the guy is somewhat splashy. Also, some flush draws missed. So I called, and he ended up having a jack, right? And I think when that happens to a lot of people, they get really annoyed, really frustrated, and really flustered, and they just end up losing their minds and going all in. But both days, I had about 20 big blinds left, and I just remained calm, thinking clearly, and I just continued to play my best. And in this shootout format, most people were actually pretty deep stacked, so that allowed me to play somewhat cautiously. I certainly was far from aggressive, and I just ground my way back in. And I mean, there were spots where someone would raise and I would shove, or I would raise from late position and continuation bet. And a lot of my flop, turn and river bluffs got through, and also a lot of my shoves got through just by trying to pick decent spots to shove against looser players, and then against tighter players just folding. There was one hand where under the gun raised, I think 6-handed, he was relatively tight. I had ace jack in second position with 20 big blinds. And I just folded because, it's not a great spot, right? And I did think that I would be able to find better spots. And sure enough, someone yet to act re-raised. The initial guy went all in. They got it all in. One guy had ace king and one guy had jacks, and I would have just been out of the tournament, right? Also, heads up, I was against an opponent who I thought was playing a little bit too tightly, and I was winning a lot of the small pots. And so on one hand, I limped with ace 3 from the button, off of like a 25 big blind stack, where normally I would raise or maybe even jam. But he was sporadically shoving, but then most of the time checking, and I think limping's fine. So anyway, I limped and he shoved, and I just folded, right? And sure enough, he shows pocket queens. So that's the spot where if I was playing, I don't know if I'm going to say normally, but at least less cautiously, I would have just gone broke. Whereas instead, I say I gone broke. I would have gotten it in poorly. Whereas instead, I ended up getting it in pretty good. Final hand was actually pretty neat. I raised, and my opponent called off of about a 25 big blind stack with pocket 4s with the 4 diamonds. Flop comes 9-3-2, maybe 8-3-2, all diamonds. So he has a flush draw. He just open jams for 5x pot. And he'd been doing this a lot, and I think in general when you see people shove, they're going to have top pairs here or pairs with flush draws or the nut flush draw. And I had pocket aces, I guess that's worth mentioning. Aces with no draw. It's actually kind of funny because he had shoved the previous 3 or 4 times over my 2.3x open, and I folded every time. So I was thinking, oh, I got him. But he decided to play slow pre-flop, then just jam the flop. I decided to call. I don't really see how I can fold. I got to be like 60-ish% against the range, maybe 55%. So with pot odds, I don't think we're going to find a better spot. So we got it all in, and I won. I'm going to do a little bit of studying. I'm going to try to find out who's at the final table. I'm going to try to find any videos I can. Then I'm gonna get some rest. I'm gonna do a book signing tomorrow at 9 a.m. After that, I'm gonna have breakfast with my parents. They're gonna come in town and then go on a road trip. So I'm gonna have breakfast with them for about 2 hours, and I'm gonna go try to play the final 12. Feels kind of odd to not be at the final table after beating 2 tables of a shootout, but we're down to the final 12. So maybe I'll make a final table of a World Series event. I guess we'll see. I took 9th place. The day started off pretty rough. I made a big fold right off the bat. I say it was a big fold. I raised 7-6 of spades. Guy who I had notes on from one of my friends, 3-bet from the small blind. My friend said he's very loose aggressive, certainly capable of getting after it. I called with 7-6 of spades. It comes 9, 5, 3, 2 hearts, 1 diamond. He continuation bet smaller. He made it 48K after his pre-flop like 58K. I called. Turns a queen of diamonds, so 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. He bet 104K. I called. Again, just trying to get the double gut shot straight. River was a 7, offsuit 7, giving me a pair, and he jams all in. That may just be a call. It's really tough. It depends on how wide he's value betting. Clearly, all the draws missed. Every single draw missed. But if he's value betting like any queen, it's probably fine to fold. Certainly if he's value betting any 9, it's a fold. But if he's only value betting like aces and kings and ace queen and king queen, then it's probably a call. But Psy folded. A little while later, I doubled up jacks against kings in a somewhat standard spot. And then, once we got to the final table, I had a pretty rough spot. A guy in the hijack who was somewhat tight raised, and I decided to just call with pocket aces. Some players you have to act were somewhat squeeze happy. So I like the spot to raise. They're also somewhat a shortish stack behind that could re-raise or jam, and people were jamming for a lot of chips. So I like the call. Small blind and big blind calls. It comes king, 6, 5, 2 diamonds. The opponent, the initial raiser continuation bet, 75K into like 100, 75K into about 125K pot. I called with the kings. I'm sorry, I called with the aces. Hello.
Mr. Big.
Taking photos of myself here.
You are, I saw it, all good.
All right. What happened next? That was the boss man. You're not supposed to take videos, I don't think. Maybe in the halls is fine. What was I doing? King, 6, 5. He continuation bet 75K into 125K. Only I called. Turn was a 2, a brick 2. 4-3 got there, but he probably doesn't have 4-3. He bet 225K, and I called. At this point, he had about 450K behind. So the pot's already gigantic. River was a 9, so 8-7 gets there. I don't know if he's going to barrel 8-7 like this, or if he even opens 8-7 offsuits. Probably not. So I lose to the 4-8-7 suiteds, I lose to the kings, and I lose to the sets, 6s and 5s. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 combinations. Right? 13 combinations I lose to. And I beat ace-king if he plays it this way, which is kind of a hoop to jump through. I have 2 aces, so that means there's 2 aces left and 3 kings left. 2 times 3 is 6, so there's 6 combinations there, which, if he's playing ace-king that way, is probably just a call right off the bat. If he ever plays king-queen this way, it's probably a call. This player did kind of overplay jacks earlier in a spot where I don't know if he should have played it that way. So I thought he may be the overplaying type, but is anyone really playing ace-king this way? I don't know. It's hard to find that ace-king. So I called. He had pocket kings. And that's a spot where I think like, I was really close to folding. And normally you just never, I don't think you're supposed to fold there. And clearly if we re-raise pre-flop, I'm never folding. But I played it the one way where I could have possibly gotten away. Purposefully. Because sometimes you need to get away, especially at a reasonably soft final table. And I'm very annoyed at myself that I didn't get away, but at the same time, I'd bet 99% of the field goes broke, but felt like that 1% I'm supposed to get off the hook there. Anyway, I didn't. I took 9th place, $20-something thousand. I got her all in with queens against ace-8 offsuit. I jammed second position, and Tim West, Team A, old school, decided to call in the big blind with ace-8 offsuit. Team A, if you're watching this, that was not a good call. But it was, because he flopped an ace. Then I hopped in the $1,500 monster stack. That's what I'm doing now. I'm actually on break. I'm having All-American Dave salmon and watching a Magic the Gathering tournament on my iPad. I was invited to dinner with some friends, but I'm not in a good mindset at the moment. I need to chill. I need to relax. Feeling good, though. So, I have 30 big blinds in this monster stack tournament. I'm going to try to run it up. Sure is rough to come close.